never feel ready because ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Ever since I heard that, it has been living rent-free in my head. What if I told you that you're capable of handling everything that comes your way? Imagine this for a second. Most people say they want a better life, but how many of them actually think, act, and behave like a CEO in their everyday lives? I believe that all of us want to live our best lives, but how do we move past our comfort and see it through? Let's pause for a moment and ask yourself, how do you move through your day? What's your perspective on success? It may not be necessarily conventional in terms of wealth, status, and power. Everyone has their own definition of how success looks like, but most importantly, what are you doing to achieve that? Let's get right into it. Everyone has a unique set of needs and expectations in life. No one is built the same. Even if you can't relate to being the CEO right now because you're doom scrolling on your bed or have nothing going on in your life, you just have to embody the qualities it takes to be one. This is called identity framing. When you keep praising your dog that he's a good boy, he naturally becomes a good boy. And trust me, it works on my dog Mochi so well that I swear he's half human at this point. He can pee and poo on command every night before he's allowed to sleep with me on the bed. So whenever you accomplish something, big or small, it can be waking up early to work out, give yourself the well-deserved praise for sticking through. That's discipline. No one said it's gonna be easy. Basically, you associate yourself with the identity that you are becoming. Let's be real, most CEOs gain their title because they have proven themselves time and time again that they are consistent and adaptable in any circumstance. When things go wrong, they trust in their ability to figure it out. Very often, it requires them to be strategic thinkers by connecting the dots to solve complex problems and also be decisive by making swift, informed decisions under pressure. In fact, they have to be an inspiration to themselves as well as others in order to guide them to their purpose. Besides that, all the CEOs have something in common. They show up every day without excuses and they seize opportunities along the way. If there isn't any, they always create opportunities with what they have in that moment. They don't wait for situations to be ideal. They know that perfection delays action, but action creates clarity. The truth is, consistency looks like nothing is happening until everything changes. Unfortunately, most people quit in the quiet phase, when there's no result, no feedback, and no applause. As a CEO, you have to learn to trust the process, especially when no one believes in your vision. Besides, do you know what's the most underrated skill in life? Knowing exactly when to stop explaining yourself, your emotions, your thought process, your decisions, and your choices in life. Although it may seem polite and harmless, looking like you're being considerate for others, that's not how it works. You know yourself better than anyone else. After all, justifying your emotions, your decisions, and your preferences can very much sound like empathy, but behind the constant need to justify yourself is self-neglect, because you have to convince others that you know what you're doing. But tell me, why are you seeking permission to exist? Let me get this straight. If you behave and rationalize your thoughts and emotions in a certain way to avoid being judged, rejected, or misunderstood, you're just living in the shadow of everyone else. And let's be real, over-explaining makes you sound insecure and people don't trust uncertainty. In fact, people instinctively trust you more when you're secure in your own identity by knowing exactly who you are and owning it despite your flaws. Look at Trump. He doesn't concern himself with the vast majority of haters. Just a disclaimer, I'm not condoning his unlawful behavior, but he is the perfect example of someone who truly doesn't give a shit about public opinions. He's very direct, saying whatever that's on his mind without a filter, so it's either you love him or you hate him. Also, he doesn't ever explain himself to anyone, not his decisions, his emotions, or his thought process. Though I agree that his political decisions are extremely bizarre, his unconventional ways have won him the presidential election twice. The best thing we can learn from Trump is the ability to shut out all the external noise and put the focus back on yourself by cultivating a growth mindset, expanding your horizons, and most importantly, owning who you are as the CEO of your life. Let's be real, it's certainly not easy to possess such undeniable confidence and conviction in yourself that you can simply ignore or tune out other people's opinions of you. Here's the harsh truth no one likes to hear. You have to learn to face yourself in moments of discomfort. Once you avoid discomfort, you also avoid taking accountability, and what happens next is you lose credibility over time. Being a CEO requires you to have hard conversations with yourself, and very often, hard conversations are the truths that you are too afraid to confront. After all, the bane of our existence is comfort. The bane of our progress is also comfort. Fear will always speak to us, but it lies in how we deal with it. We can spend our entire life worrying about our future, but all that matters is defined in the decisions we make in this very moment. The truth is, many of us choose our paths out of fear disguised as practicality. But here's the thing, life is unpredictable. Everything can go wrong around you, and if you learn to shift the perspective of your circumstance, it will change the trajectory of your life. Ultimately, removing fear out of the equation allows you to make the best possible decisions. First of all, showing up when you don't feel like it, showing up when it's hard, showing up when you feel like the whole world is against you may seem like a torture, but the moment you decide to show up anyway, it's a sign of trust and respect for yourself. Think about it. We face new things to worry about every day, so the way you reframe your perspective matters. As a CEO, you have a huge responsibility over your shoulders and you are accountable for the growth of your company, which in this case refers to your life. Plan your day the night before to prepare for all the commitments you have promised yourself to create the life that you have always wanted. Prioritize what matters, which is your non-negotiables, and delegate the rest. If writing on a journal is too much work for you, you can simply use your phone's calendar or a post-it note as your to-do list. It doesn't have to be fancy. List out your top 3 goals for the day. It can be non-work related, like doing your laundry that you have been procrastinating for days, or going for a 5 km run after a week of not working out. The key is to reward yourself at the end of the day. It has been proven to increase your motivation and build the momentum to achieve bigger goals. For me, I always reward myself with good food. Like seriously, I belong to the category of working out just to eat. That's my motivation to stay healthy. Here's my favorite lobster pasta that I indulge in almost every month. And of course, there are times when I fall into a slump for days, not wanting to do anything besides eating and watching TV. Let's be real, we all have bad days and that's okay. Please don't fool yourself into thinking that being a CEO must be flawless or perfect. None of us are. The only solution to get out of the slump is to get yourself out of the house with your laptop, pick a cute, cozy little cafe that you'll enjoy working in, and get started. As long as there's progress, 1% is still better than 0. A small win is still a win, and winning creates long-term dopamine boost that makes you want to do it all over again. The problem is, I used to think that discipline is willpower, a feeling where it comes and goes. There are days when I'm very disciplined and there are days I'm not. However, I just found out that discipline is not willpower. It's simply habit stacking. Prior to this, I had a session with my life coach and I asked her this question. Why do I feel like I'm losing discipline on some days? Is there something wrong with me? Here's the context. I just came back from my trip to Sydney and I had a wonderful time there. As soon as I got back home, I realized that I could not keep up with my usual routine. For a week, I snoozed my alarm at 6 every morning and only woke up at 9 or 10 to start my day. It was very unusual for me and I started resenting myself for it. Instead of giving myself grace and compassion to recuperate from traveling and readjust to a different time zone, I was so hung up on the fact that I failed to show up for myself. Honestly, it affected me so much that I felt like I was a disappointment, and that's when my life coach reminded me to take a step back and stop being too harsh on myself. In reality, I was being selfish to my own needs. My body needed time to rest and recharge, but I was in complete denial because I didn't want to lose my discipline. And the truth is, I didn't lose anything. We don't lose our habits overnight. Once I've come to terms with cooperating with my body instead of fighting against it, I managed to bounce back faster than I thought it would take me. So if you feel incredibly exhausted to clean your place because you have spent most of your days working, hire a cleaner once a week. I can promise you that you're one step closer to eliminate 90% of your problems. This is delegation, and most people don't really understand the value of time or the concept of making your life easier. Let's say the cleaning appointment takes 3 hours and it costs $100. In that short span of time, you can potentially make much more than what you pay for cleaning. By the way, your living environment matters more than what you think it is. It dictates how you feel on a daily basis, and it's also a reflection of your mental clutter. It acts as a constant reminder of unfinished tasks, raising your cortisol level and making you feel overwhelmed. On the other hand, a neat and tidy home minimizes all of that while promoting relaxation. Not only do you get the extra hours to rest, you get to conserve your energy for more important things like creating content, expanding your business, go for networking events, or investing in the stock market. Never underestimate the power of delegation. It's about strategically trading money for time to gain freedom and focus, not about undoing past losses. Think about it. As a CEO, you're bound to be misunderstood by many people. They will question your decisions, your progress, your wisdom, your values, and your work ethics. Let me start off by saying that misunderstanding is mainly a communication problem or a difference in perspective that can occur in any connection, be it your family, friends, business, and romantic partner. It's normal to be misunderstood, but the question is, how do we navigate misunderstanding, assuming that we have high emotional intelligence? Well, if anyone I care about has a misunderstanding towards me, I'll always make sure to clarify with them either via text or call before I jump into any conclusions. It's very easy to allow our minds to spiral and think of the worst possible scenarios. What have I done that make them dislike me? Or why do they talk shit about me? Whenever you hear rumors about you through a friend or acquaintance, I can assure you that most of the time, the rumors are modified based on their limited understanding and perspectives. What most people don't understand is the original message may not necessarily have any ill intent, but it can be twisted along the way if the message is spread across 10 people. Let me get this straight. I don't give a shit about rumors because most people don't know me well enough to have an opinion about me. But I know for some of you, rumors still get into your head and you start to overthink your entire existence. And I get it. I used to be so bothered by people's comments about me that I struggled to sleep at night. Right now, I truly don't give a shit. Honestly, I'm not responsible for the version they had created of me in their head. It also helps when I just focus on becoming better instead of ruminating over someone's opinions of me, which is completely irrelevant to my growth. As a CEO, I don't go above and beyond to impress anyone. I have much bigger things to worry about. Also, as someone who has been very rational and logical, my emotional side rarely get the best of me, so I tend to approach tension from a calm and reasonable standpoint. However, if their reaction is purely defensive, I'll remain silent by pulling back and not engage with them because I genuinely prioritize my peace over being misunderstood, and I'll stand by this every single time. You have to understand that your boundaries don't push the right people away, they push the wrong ones out. Trust me, some people are just committed to misunderstanding you, so you would rather be misunderstood by them than to lose your peace. Think about it. Especially if I'm not close to you at all, I'm not going out of my way to prove myself to you. Once I feel hurt or disrespected, I'll peacefully remove myself from the situation. Ultimately, you have to give yourself the closure you desperately seek from others and redirect all the energy back to yourself. I know it's tough to not take it personally or spiral into a negative loop, but it takes conscious practice over the years. And let's be honest, having awareness is one thing, but implementing the tools needed to override the awareness is another. Most of the time, it doesn't require any skill or talent to do this. Are you ready? It's actually very simple. Be self introspective. Learn to ask yourself why. Why is this affecting you more than it should? Why do you make certain decisions? Why do you do certain things? Why do you think this is the best choice out of all the choices available? Be genuinely curious about yourself. For instance, what are the things you want to change about yourself and why? What are the opportunities in front of you and how are you going to maximize it? Does your purpose align with your goals? That's when you gain clarity about who you want to be. I can assure you that no amount of personal attack is big enough to destroy your confidence once you know who you really are. And spoiler alert, there are only two kinds of people who hate you: guys who couldn't get you and girls who are jealous of you. In some cases, it may not be gender specific, but the more successful you are, the more attention you will attract from hateful people who want to be you. Let me tell you the secret to outsmart people who underestimate you. Don't react to their negativity and level up instead. Conserve your energy for things that truly matter. And the truth is, life is unfair. Everyone has to deal with their own deck of cards. So find your own unfair cards to deal with. Let's be real. For people who are born into generational wealth, they don't have to work as hard as someone who is born into poverty. But it doesn't mean that people who are poor can't make it in life. Most of the time, the hardships they endured have contributed to their strong drive for success. Here's the thing, you have to learn to capitalize your best assets. Write it down. It can be anything from your beauty, your body, your talent, your trust fund, your intelligence, or your connection with millionaires. Don't be ashamed of your God given looks or daddy's money. The next time anyone says you're only successful because of your pretty privilege, don't feel bad about it. Own it. At least you're doing something with that privilege of yours. By the way, it's very easy to sell someone the idea that the reason they have it worse is because someone else is more attractive and therefore must have it easy. People seem to really love the idea of being the underdog with the cards stacked against them, whether it be to victimize themselves or to use it as an excuse as to why they aren't achieving what they want. However, for the rest of you who want to get hotter and smarter, hit the gym, go to Pilates, listen to podcasts. The Diary of a CEO is a good one, and read educational content. It's not that difficult. As long as you stay consistent in building your momentum, the one that caters to your needs and not make you burn out, you'll learn to trust and enjoy the process. The outcome doesn't matter because you know that your hard work will pay off eventually. Don't you think it's disrespectful to not maximize your unfair advantages and turn it into something meaningful or at least profitable? In fact, many people in the world are unknowingly leaking their energy everywhere and wondering why they feel burnout and exhausted every single day. Most of the time, they don't know what they're doing because they're functioning on autopilot. They're just following a routine that has been stuck with them for years without evaluating what works and what doesn't. In order to create the ripple effect of incremental progress, we have to figure out what no longer works and what needs to be changed. Honestly, we can't blame anyone when we don't know what we don't know, right? Here's what I'm trying to teach you. Stop entertaining chaos and move in silence. You can't attract abundance when your mind is cluttered and your energy is leaking everywhere. The truth is, you are not obliged to entertain people or places you have outgrown. I hate to break it to you, but if they're always stuck in scarcity mindset, the more you hang out with them, the more you are easily influenced by their negative thought patterns. They see everything as competition due to their subconscious belief that the world has limited resources. Over time, you'll start normalizing it, and before you know it, they'll tell you to be realistic, and you'll end up doubting yourself and your goals for the future. And let's be honest, being realistic doesn't get you far in life. Just look at Elon Musk. Tesla may not be the first EV in history, but its high-tech digital experience as well as its minimalist design stood out amongst other competitors. Many investors also see Tesla as a technology company rather than a car company, which gives Tesla a competitive edge because it builds an entire ecosystem from driving to charging to energy management, making it a distinct brand experience. Despite how unrealistic it was to introduce EV when the world was not ready to switch to sustainable energy, he made it happen. So ask yourself, what can you do today to get closer to your goals? You have to first get rid of anything or anyone that's not aligned with you. Be surrounded by people who calm your nervous system. Anyone who activates your fight or flight response is not for you. As a CEO, you are extremely mindful of the people gaining access into your personal life because you know it has a direct impact on you, shaping the way you think, the way you see yourself, and the way you overcome challenges. Here's a gentle reminder that your chance of success is determined by the 5 closest people in your life. Do you look up to them or are they just draining you? As a CEO, when you embody qualities like loyalty, maturity, and responsibility, it's okay to demand it from others. You're not asking for too much. If you're loyal but your partner is cheating on you, that's not okay. If you're mature but your partner is acting immature like a child, that's not okay. If you're responsible for your finances but your partner is spending all of his money on alcohol, that's not okay. You're not asking for too much when you possess the very same qualities that you demand from others. So, what you can do in this situation is to walk away from people that are unable to match what you offer because that's the only thing within your control. As a CEO, you don't waste your time dwelling on people or things outside of your control. Very often, you'll be surprised that setting boundaries is not the problem, but getting people to respect your boundaries is. It can be incredibly difficult to draw the line when your family and friends make disrespectful comments and not take you seriously. The truth is, they have violated your boundaries and they think they can get away with it. As a CEO, what should you do? Don't you think the best solution is to call out the disrespect immediately? By asserting your boundaries firmly, you only have to do it once and move on. But let's be honest, there's going to be some people who will gladly continue to step all over you. I hate to break it to you, but you need to fire them immediately and revoke their access into your life. Yes, it may seem brutal, but don't you think you deserve respect? Why do you want to surround yourself with anyone who feels comfortable disrespecting you? In fact, those people who are comfortable disrespecting you are never meant to be in your life because they'll discourage your growth and derail you from achieving your goals. As a CEO, you have to make wise decisions. At the end of the day, it's okay to fail and make mistakes, but you can turn it into wisdom. Use it as opportunities to learn more about yourself and pivot if necessary. Being a CEO requires you to be the best version of yourself in order to be the master of your life, not a slave to society. Thank you for watching and remember to subscribe if you enjoy my content. Bye!